Hello and welcome to the Empire in Leicester Square. We've all been watching the movie, the same as you have, the incredible film Road, and we are now going to have a Q&A with, well, with the gladiators of that movie, William Dunlop, Michael Dunlop and John McGuinness. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first saw that film, it completely broke me, and I was sobbing like a baby, but it made me feel as though I had more of an idea why the guys do what they do, and I know they take a lot of stick from various people who don't understand it, and I don't think anybody can clearly understand it unless you actually do it. I've been around the motorcycling industry for almost 20 years, and that idea I've thrown around for all that time. I'd like to try and get the answer across if we can, and I don't think it's a simple question and answer, so hopefully with the guys' answers we'll get more of an insight. But wasn't that film absolutely incredible? Okay, William, I'd like to start with you. When did you first see the film? Where did you see it, and how did you feel about it? What did you think?
Yeah, we had a private viewing. Dermot brought it down Korean for us just to watch, but it was on a wee screen, so yeah, it wasn't really what we were expecting at the start. We were expecting just they followed us for the year, and then they turned it into a big story, which was really good. Like, and as I say, it was really nice to watch and see all the old footage of some stuff I haven't seen before and that there, so it was really nice.
And how about you, Michael? When Dermot and Michael, the producers and directors, came to you with the idea of the story, what did you think?
Yeah, it was sort of the same as William. They'd done a private showing just for me and William to go and see it on our own, obviously, after the whole, they'd spent a full year with us, so for me it was, they'd spent a whole year and then combined it all into an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half, whatever it was, and let's say it was funny now, let's say, there was so much stuff to take out from what we had done all year. I think they'd done maybe 15 races with us, for the 2 or 3 days that we were there, and me and William went to the private showing of it, and there's some hard-hitting facts in it, that some stuff I didn't expect to be in it, but as I say, that's the life and the times of motorcycle racing. Yeah,
I mean, you said it was quite fun to watch, William, when you first saw it. Obviously, there are some harrowing moments in there, and it must be terribly harrowing for both of you in particular. Were you quite surprised at how graphic it was? Or is that to you, that's life?
Yeah, you just seen, you're sort of living through most of it, didn't really. It's hard to say, yeah. I don't know. Okay,
and John, at the start there was quite an incredible quote, I thought. It was quite poignant, and it said something that made me certainly think about living in the moment. When you're on a bike, it said that all you can think about when you're road racing, not talking about track racing now, but when you're road racing, all you can think about is that moment. You don't think about the future, and that eliminates the fear. Do you buy into that? Is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's a really hard one to answer, but when you do get on that motorbike, and sometimes it's a little bit selfish, and you don't think about anything. You just, you're hitting the next apex. You're making sure your bike's working right. You're just out there racing against the other guys, and sometimes it's against the clock. Sometimes it's wheel to wheel, and the concentration levels are that high. Sometimes you haven't got time to think about the fear. But before the races, I do get worried and nervous about things, and after the race, if you have a result, you just buzz in. All them things just disappear. All the doubters and the fears and the dangers of it. But being on the bike, it's just you, the bike, and you're down to business.
And do you feel that's when you're really alive?
Yeah, I feel a lot better on the bike than I do in normal life. I'm like I'm 42, and I feel 42 when I'm walking around, and especially when I'm getting out of bed in the morning. But when I'm on the bike, I'm 18 years old again, and it all just comes. I'm just alive again when I'm on the bike. It doesn't feel as tiring. It comes a little bit easier for me when I'm on the bike. But
and does it feel like it's part of you? Does it feel very, very natural?
Yeah, it does feel natural. I mean, it comes with experience and time. I've ridden lots of different bikes, lots from 2-strokes to 4-strokes and V-twins and different manufacturers. And
You've been through quite a few eras, haven't you?
yeah, I have, and like just watching that movie, you know, I think, like you said earlier, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. It made me, you know, it broke me down and the missus, because we've been through it for a long time. I've been racing since 1990, so it's a long time, and you know, I had the unbelievable, you know, pleasure of riding with Joey and Robert, you know, and you know, I respected those guys so much. They was just class, you know. And then obviously Joey was the 26 times TT winner, and I was Joey's last ever teammate. So, you know, the memories all I was in there, you know, I was in the movie with them, you know, and doing the racing, and then with these two reprobates, I'm still at it now, racing with the two lads, you know. So it does make me feel like a granddad, but.
Well, can I just say, probably on behalf of everybody, congratulations on the 21st win at the TT. How incredible is that? And of course, Michael also had an absolutely incredible week at the TT, yeah, Baghdad. And the senior win last Friday was the culmination of such a lot of hard work. And it's great that it's great that William's here today, still standing, because we know you've got that double fracture in your leg, and you're hoping to race again in 4 weeks.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah. Michael, your dad said that he confronted his fears when he was in a road race rather than when he was on the track, and the thrill outweighed the fear for him by far, which is why he did it. Is that how you feel about it? Is that the DNA that's come down to you?
Yeah, fear's a massive word to use, you know. You get scares, not very many times if you got feared you wouldn't do it, you know. We've had scares, I've had scares. I would say William had one a couple of days ago, where these things happen, but you never get feared of what you do, because if you were feared you just wouldn't do it, you know. And scares, you get scares, but the buzz, you know, outweighs all that. You know, the adrenaline of something you can't replace. You know, I haven't found anything yet that can give me the same buzz that I get from, you know, doing 190 through a street. You know, I mean, you just don't get that. You know, and I say I don't know where you could find that. You know, I don't know where people find. You know, people get different buzzes from. You know, some get it from reading a book. I don't know, but I get mine from riding my motorbike. So that's just. It's the life of it, you know, and it's the same with John, same with William. We get a buzz in probably the weirdest way possible.
And that, can you describe that weird way to us, mere mortals that might get a buzz from reading a book?
No, it's funny because people always say, "What does it feel like doing 190 mile an hour?" You know, you can't explain that. It's not possible. You know what I mean? I can tell you what it, you know. For me, it's just natural. You know, it's not something I can explain to the public. You know, it's something you have to experience for yourself. You just can't tell people how it feels. You know, it's just there's so much going on at the same time. You know what I mean? And people like say, "Oh, you do 190 mile an hour." Like, you're bound to be able to see nothing. You know what I mean? It's weird how the whole world just slows down. Even though it's going faster, it's getting slower. That's
what I was going to ask you next, actually. Valentino Rossi once said the whole world goes into slow motion, and that's what you're describing now.
Yeah, you know, it does. Everyone slows away down where you can actually see. You see the crowd in the banks. You know, I've had numerous things happen on track. I've had people give me the fingers, people flashing at me. You know,
people flashing at you.
You know,
girls or boys?
I've had a bit of both. You know, I've had a bit of sausage being through out the hedge. All right. It's a bit disappointing when that happens, but that's, you know, you see them things. For me, you can see them as clear as day. That one fella, you couldn't see much, but that was his problem, not mine. But it
was a cold day.
It was a cold day. It was like a turtle's head, but that's not. But no, but you know, you just see all that. You know, it's weird. You know, you see people just sitting eating ham and sandwich. You're going by them 190 miles an hour, just sitting there.
Good job it's not eating a hot dog.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's maybe a little bit too far.
Kebab.
And in that situation, can you almost predict things that are going to happen? Then can you slightly see into the next second almost?
You're always planning for the next second. You're never looking at it, but you're always planning. You know, if you're always thinking the next corner. You know, so you're always leading yourself 2 or 3 seconds ahead each time, so you're not actually living in the buzz of the moment. It's the buzz of getting to the next point. You know what I mean? And that's for me. That's what it is. It's not my buzz isn't where I'm at that time. It's how I'm going to make it to the next bit. You know, and it just leads on. You know, and you can't obviously see what's going to happen in 2 seconds time, but you can obviously, you know, I'm in the middle of a turn, I'm thinking of the next turn, right, I'm going to be there in 2 seconds, so I need to get ready for that. So you're always thinking, the brain's always working ahead of time, you know.
But you're thinking of hazards, potential hazards in front of you constantly, I would imagine, as well as wringing the most out of your bike.
Yeah, it's funny when you go into a zone. Obviously, it's just you, like the TT there. It's just you and the bike. It's different when you're racing with other people. You need to think of what they can do, and you know it's good when I race small roads. It's mostly me and William together. So I know what he does. He knows what I do, and we can lie on each other. We can rub shoulders, and there's no problem because he knows where we're at. But like the TT, you're always thinking ahead, and you're looking out for maybe wildlife. You know, it could be
chickens
dogs.
running across the road.
There's been dogs, cats,
Ducks.
rats. You know,
What,
birds.
did you say ducks?
Ducks, yeah.
Mm.
There's normally an odd family of ducks crossing the road at Griever.
Yeah.
But they've got the right of way, I think, or the local stop for them, so they expect you to stop for them, and they're looking at you like, why are you not stopping? So, yeah. But I've hit a pheasant at about 150 mile an hour. That wasn't pleasant. Yeah, that took the wind out of my sails for a second or two.
Yeah,
But it also
Same for him too.
yeah,
took more than the wind out of his sails, didn't it?
pulled a few birds in the Isle of Man, but not a pheasant.
Okay. I know both of you aren't keen to go back to the Northwest 2000 that year for very obvious reasons, and I completely understand that. Of course, it was the kind of pinnacle of the film, in a sense, with your what I can only describe as a warlike strength that made you both get out onto the grid when you were banned effectively from going out because they thought you weren't in the right frame of mind to ride. William, how did you actually get onto the grid? How did you physically get the bikes out there?
I just went back to the van, and boy Paddy Flynn that owned my 250 said they're letting you race. So went down to the grid like as if I was racing, and they hadn't let me race. But he knew I wouldn't have forced my way on, you know, but he's brute ignorance, he is, so he just pushed on through, got the bike in the grid, and that's just how it went.
And there was absolutely no question that you weren't going to try to race. I know you had a technical problem, but...
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to be out in the shed building my bike, not to race. Like.
John, you were there, obviously, for the whole weekend. Can you set the scene for us? You're out there on the grid and suddenly these two turn
sure,
up. I mean, can you go back to that moment and just describe what it was like?
Yeah, I mean, I'd qualified on pole. These guys were you know, obviously riding well and the front of the grid, and it's whispers around the start line that the boys are going to ride, and it was like, you're joking, you know, after this, and you know, it was only a couple of days ago that, you know, they were laid next to Robert at Mathers Cross, and it was difficult for me as well. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like for these two. I mean, I've lost some close friends through the years, and you know, I wasn't too far behind Robert's accident, and I saw it all, and you know, I didn't really know what to expect, and I just thought, like we do, just get the helmet on and get going and get the race underway, and the two boys were on the grid, and all of a sudden, you know, we were in this battle for the lead, and Christian Elkin was involved, and Michael was involved, and you know, it was a great race. It was a great, honest race, you know, and you didn't think about it at the time, you know, it was just another race to win, and as the race went on for me, I was thinking, you know, this, like Michael's winning, he's riding, you know, for these reasons that we're seeing in the film, and for him to keep the concentration up with that in the back of your mind, I mean, it was a just unbelievable achievement, and you know, from that, massive respect for Michael after that. You know, it was like it was meant to be, you know, and I felt like I was involved in something that was just so special. You know, the programs were being waved, people were hanging over the fence, and you know, everybody wanted Michael to win, and I wanted to win as well, but I wasn't going to win that day, and Michael got the better of both of us, and you know, it was just, I tipped my hat off to Michael, and obviously William for having the balls basically to get on the grid and race for the dad, and to win it was actually on the cake, and it didn't show it in there, but I went and give Michael a cuddle, to be fair, and it was an emotionally charged moment, you know, and it's one of the most emotional races I've been in. You know, I felt like crying myself, and I didn't go onto the podium. It was Michael's podium that day, and I just stood back and watched him what he'd just achieved. So it was incredibly special.
Very, very difficult days. Yeah. Moving on from that to a higher point, I think probably Michael. It was TT last week, the senior TT. Was that one of your career high points, would you say?
Yeah, for me, you know, the TT's are massive. You know, it's as you can see on the movie itself too, it was a massive pinnacle of the year. It's the biggest race of the year, and for me, it's the only one the TT that haven't won. You know, and it was a senior, you know, and I wasn't getting it easy. And
you just borrowed it for a year.
That's what I say. This man here made life a little easier for me this year, obviously with his injury, which helped me. But you know, for me, it's to win that race is nice. You know, it's the big one they call it, and that's what I wanted to do. And it was just another notch. But as I say, there's boys coming thick and fast. You know, William's coming. I think John will be back again for another year, I would say, and his hand will be ready to go again. And it just keeps getting thick and fast, the TT.
We'll ask him about that in a minute. And William, for you, is that the special one for you as well?
Yeah, it's yeah, for me it is at the minute. I haven't won one yet, so it's really annoying. It really is. So.
But you're a Dunlop, so we know your time will come.
Well, yeah, but I'm getting old now. It feels old anyway. So as I say, I've won everything but the TT, and I thought it was going to be my year. I thought, you know, a good team behind me, and it just took me too long to get going. And by the time I got going, it was the end of the week, and you know that's the way it goes. So
I think. Can I say something?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
I think one of the real nice bits in the senior race was, well, not nice bits at the time, but Michael had seen obviously William down on the track, and I was with Michael on the road, and Michael slowed down, and there's four of us together on the road, and I would imagine there'd be a few thoughts come flooding back through. You know, how's William? And these two have had a lovers' tiff the last couple of weeks and all that, and fell out of each other and all that. But I think they're back friends again now. But like adding to the movie, the connection, brothers, you know, and I think not just brothers, the connection between road racers, that we all look out for each other. You know, we might have an odd argument and whatever, but I think deep down we're all respect each other as riders. And when Michael came in for his pit stop, the most important thing was, is William okay? And the mechanic said, you know, relayed the information back, and off Michael went into the distance to win a senior. So, you know, it's just one part of the race that I thought was different and quite nice, to be fair, you know, between road races.
Michael, that mental strength that you have, where do you think that comes from? Have you always been very, very focused?
Yeah, we come through life, you know, and you know, my dad hadn't 2D, and when I had his crash in '94, set us well back, you know, and you just learn to butter your own bread, and we just, you know, and we come through life. My dad never done everything for us that he could, and he was always good to me and William, and my other brother Daniel, he was always fair with us, you know, and I don't know whether it's seeing what that man went through has given me, you know, and that's, for me, the movies, it's fantastic. And sometimes we get feedback like me and William's been in press all day, and everybody in the press keeps going back to tragedy. You know, I mean, that movie for me, it's not about tragedy. You know, it's about these two men that became heroes from a small town of nowhere. You know, I mean, two fantastic men, two of the most down-to-earth people that you would ever meet. And people just keep going back to the tragedy, you know, and they don't see the good times. You know what I mean? And my dad and Joey shared a lot of good times, and it's the same with me and William. You know, we don't look back at the tragedy. You know, things happen in life, and that's the way it is. But we have good times, and me and William have good times. You know, and obviously we've took the highs, we've took the lows. But at the end of the day, you know, everybody out in the world always revolts back to accidents. You know, and yes, that's the name of the game. But when an accident happens, they just pounce on it. You know, that's a part of sport. That's a part of life. It's a part of, you know, who people are. You know, at the end of the day, we're all going to end up in a cube. That's the way it is. That's life. You know, we're all going to die sometime. We might as well do it having a bit of crack, and you know, and that's where my life goes. And William's the same. You know, I mean, I'd rather die tomorrow riding my motorbike than, you know, riddled with cancer. And that's just life in general, you know.
And that's the thing, and actually, William, you touched on in the movie there, you said, you know, you get a lot of stick for road racing, and people say it's selfish, and I think inherently it's because people don't understand, and I think a lot of people comment on the TT that have never seen any footage, that aren't interested in motorbike racing, that have no clue, and they just read the headlines about, you know, and Bob and Carl, by the way, lost them in the TT last week, but they chose to do it, they loved it. And you love racing, and is there a sense that you would like to put across, you know, a more positive side of road racing rather than the headlines that the media just tend to jump on all the time?
Yeah, I know, it seems to be people, anyone that sort of slags it off is people that don't know anything about it. It seems to be more, you know, like anyone that's kind of family, it's like a family of the paddock, you know. I've never heard anyone from racing paddock say anything bad about it, even if they've had a
That's your passion,
loss.
isn't it?
Yeah, even in the ones that have had a loss, they've never, you know, they see all the good. There's a lot of good in it, you know. And as I say, people just seem to pounce in the bad times, but it's always people don't know. So.
Yeah. Michael said there that you'll be back next year. When I saw you tonight, I said, "How you doing?" You said, "I feel old," and you're not old. You're 42, but that is quite long in the tooth for a motorcycle racer in some senses, if you don't mind me saying. You'll be back next year. What are your plans? Can you plan the future, or do you just take it sort of season by season?
I want to still race, you know. I mean, after watching the movie there, and you know, Joey won 3 at 48 years old. I'm a young man compared to that, I suppose. And Bruce Anstey, 45 years old, he's the fastest man around there. He's the first man to do 132s. But you know, it's been hard. You know, I've done it for a long, long time. And 10 weeks ago, I was laid on a pile of rocks with a dislocated wrist, and you know, I thought, what am I doing this for? You know, I don't need this. And then the pain starts going away. All you want to do is get back on your bike. And, you know, I had to just, you know, once I started being a little bit, you know, there'd be a chance of doing it, all I was doing was focusing on racing at the TT this year. And, you know, whether you like it or not, I won the scale electric race. And,
Zero.
you know, anybody says it's not a TT win, I'd offer you to get on the back of it and do a lap on the back of it, then you'll understand that it is a serious machine. But and then just when you stood on the podium and shaking the champagne and you're lifting the silverware and you're listening to your national anthem, it's the best feeling in the world. And you know, I had to just take the other races on the chin, but I've had a good run. But I'll just come back stronger. I don't know about fitter or lighter. I'll try to be. I mean, I've been told by the management either lose some weight or lose your job. So that's the bottom line. So you know, I've got to get, you know, I put a bit more effort in from my side, and then we'll come back and give these boys a challenge again.
And is there a slight concern that you won't find that buzz in anything else? I mean,
yeah,
in a sense, there can't be that buzz in anything else, can there?
No, it's going to be difficult. You know, I love the sport. I've travelled the world. I've met so many great people. I've met some arseholes as well.
Haven't we all?
You know, as well. But you know, it's brought me so much joy, so much fun. You know, and nothing's going to replace that. And I spoke to a few riders that have retired, and you know, Jim Moody and a few other guys, and they're still walking around like a bear with a sore backside, and just you know, he's racing pushbacks at the moment now, he's Jim, but I can't imagine that being the same thrill as doing 200 mile an hour down the Sulby Straight.
So if someone put 20 million quid in your bank account, and by the way, I don't know that you haven't got 20 million quid in your bank
25.
account.
25 quid.
Would you still go racing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you'd
definitely.
say that.
Yeah, sure.
We've got some social media that I'd like to get through, and then guys, if you'd like to ask some questions as well. So there's a competition on Twitter, and that was won by Donald Barclay, and he would like to know, what advice would you offer to those hoping to make a career in racing? So maybe we'll start with William. What do you think?
Don't bother.
Go and get himself a golf bag and go and play golf instead. Make some real money. I don't know. No, you know, it just starts out. It's a great sport when you start off as a. I loved it first few years doing clubmans and you know, having a care in order. Yeah, it was best times. Now it's a job and it's a bit of a chore at times, but it was just so good. And it's not even about the bike. You just go race and enjoy it. And anyone that's young, you know, not care, and then you progress and you get your chances. But
Yeah.
it's not like football where you can just go and get yourself a set of boots and anyone can do that. It's quite hard. You gotta want it.
Hey, you guys don't make it look easy.
Yeah.
Let's go to another one then. Can you remember the first time that you ever rode a bike, and what did it feel like, Michael?
Yeah.
I'm not asking John because you probably can't think back that far.
He's too far back. Yeah, I remember.
No choice.
The biggest thing, I think, not even when I started, was more where I went with William. I would say my enjoyment was more then than I had at the early days of me starting racing. I went with William, and I used to flicker about. And, like, if I get riding his bike up the road, I'd been happy, you know. But I say, more thing, I spent a bit more time with William when we were younger, and it was great, as William says, when we were just fun times. I remember we had a Toyota hiace van, and it was, no tax, no nothing, you know. And, no, and I was, don't say that because I tell you, you'd be around dipping my car and I frick me. You know, we used to go head off to Mandela, and you know, we got out the end of the lane, and William had just got his driving licence. I was about 12, and William's a her for sleeping. William would sleep anywhere. He would sleep there on the stage if you'd let him lie. He was nightmare for sleeping. See, when William wants to sleep, he'd sleep. We'd have maybe got 5
I think you might have dropped off now, actually.
We got 5 mile up the road, and William said, "Here, you're driving." You know what I mean? Ah, that's great, William. Aye. Don't be sleeping. Aye, grand 12. I was delighted. Get up the road, driving away this E-van, happy as Larry. We 125 in the back. You know, they were the days. You know, I really enjoyed that. And you know, when you used to go down Saturday night, be there for Sunday. William done a race, and we drove back home again. And he said, I had more enjoyment out of that. And the first time we'd done that, I got a run on William's bike, and that's probably the first run out. But for me, it was more about going and helping him instead.
Okay, carefree, no responsibilities.
No, carefree, and nobody cared. You know, the only thing that was getting across the border at that time was whether you had AK-47s in the back or a big load of wacky backy. But apart from that, everyone was getting across the border was the best bit.
Before we have to finish, can we? I know there's some guys here that would like to ask a question. So this gentleman here on the left. Great, thank you.
Hi. I had a question related to the sport that you are competing in. One thing that people appreciate about road racing is somehow we remain more faithful to the origin of the sport of motorsport. Meaning, you guys are here talking to us, you're like very laid back, extremely close to the people, to your fans. To another extent, Formula One, for example, became a multi-million business, you know, and escalated all around the world, but somehow detached the drivers from the people, and you know, through the years became some kind of, you know, they're untouchable. I would like to have your opinion on this development, for example, Formula One, and what you hope for your sport. If you think that road race is closer to what motorsport is, or it would be, or you hope that it will escalate to becoming like a massive global sport.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly summarise that and repeat it in case anyone didn't hear out there. So this gentleman is comparing it to Formula One and saying that road racing bears a more resemblance to the origins of motorsport, whereas Formula One has become more corporate and more of a business, but a global entity and much bigger in that sense. Do you guys like the sport the way it is, or do you feel as though it should become more corporate? I think I might know the answer. What do you think, John?
Difficult to change somewhere like the Isle of Man. You know, the actual circuit you can't really change. You know, the actual, you know, we've got bigger transporters and.
No, you have a bigger transporter.
When you get 21 wins, you can have a big transporter. Yeah.
Get electric then.
All right, 20 wins now.
Yeah, I mean, we're still parking the field. It's 107 years old, the TT. You know, it's still the oldest and the hardest and the toughest. You know, that never goes away. But
that's part of it as well, isn't it? Really,
yeah,
the sort of the raw
heritage. We're all accessible. I like that. I still like that. I mean, I'd like some F1 wages. let's not beat about the bush. It'd be nice to have, you know, not been able to get your telly repossessed, you know. But you know, we're just keeping our head above water really as sportsmen. But no, It's difficult. I think everybody loves a TT, but they don't know it. You know, it's on a lot of people's bucket list. You know, and when they get there, they're blown away by it. You know, and over the last few years, and whenever people have talked about the dangers of it, I try to steer off that and talk about the positive sides of it, the spectacle, the atmosphere, the bikes, the noise. That there's nowhere else compares. You know, you can't get. You know, in places on the track, you can touch the riders at 180 mile an hour. You're not going to get that anywhere in the world. So, you know, we all know that side of it, but the positive side of it way outweighs the negative side of it. But going back to the original question, I'm off on one, but it's a difficult one to say, you know.
I think the good thing about it is we're Formula One and all turned into like a global, you know, thing to a degree. Like John McGuinness is, you know, the Vettel of road racing, you know, is now. And you can walk up and clap John on the back in the start line and ask him how it's hanging, you know what I mean? It's
you can't do that to Fernando Alonso, trust me.
like a racehorse, one behind the other. But you don't get that anywhere else. I don't know of any other sport at the highest peak of the sport you can actually go up to him and have a conversation with him, or you know, speak to John. You come in and speak to me and William. You know, you can go and speak to any.
Try Guy Martin.
If you get Guy Martin. That could be a hard bit.
It's been had by the media. All right, let's move on to another question because I know we're running out of time. Where are the mics? There's a gentleman in the middle and there's a lady here. Could you give a mic to this lady here, and could someone pass a mic to this gentleman in the very centre? And then if this lady could give us her question, please.
Hi, this one's for Michael. Obviously, you got your 11th win last week at the TT, and your uncle does have the record. It's not a case of will you, but is there a part of you that does want to equalise or win more than Joey?
People keep talking about, you know, Joey's record as it's the big peak. You know what I mean? For me, at the moment in time, winning TTs for me is just the be all and end all. And if I get no more wins, you know, I've still won what I've wanted to do. If I get another 50 wins, I'll be head over heels with that. You know, it's for me. I don't see, you know, Joey's record as a goalpost and saying, right, I want to do Joey's record. If I break it, yeah, that's fantastic. You know, that's a fantastic goal to get. But you know, TT is such an unpredictable place where you can go and might get a drought, maybe not win any races again, you know, or I could win another 4 next year or 5. You just don't know. And I say I've no targets as such. If I'm honest, I just want to keep plugging away and winning TTs. And if they come and I beat the record, that's fantastic. And if I don't, that's life.
Thank you very much for your question. And sir, in the middle there.
Yeah, hello, good evening, gents. How you doing? All right.
Fine, thank you.
Sorry, and Susie, yeah, and ladies and gents. Very observant.
He's a big lad, whatever he says.
First off, I'd like to say if the England football team had half the balls that these guys have got, we'd be coming home with the World Cup, wouldn't we? And I take it all 3 of you ride on the road, because like us mere mortals, all we can do is ride on the road, and we have to stick to legal speed limits and all that sort of stuff. Do you ride on the road, Michael?
No, I don't ride on the road. If I did ride on the road, my accident level will probably go up by 100%. If I'm honest with you, it's not for me. I just don't.
No, you just don't go out there for pleasure.
Car license.
No licence. No licence.
I know you do a bit of motocross. Do you ride on the road?
Me?
Yeah.
Occasionally. I used to fly around on the streets. And
I was going to say, how'd you get on, like, you know, keeping to the speed limit and all that sort of stuff?
I don't really go on the road that much. I just.
It's too dangerous, John, isn't it?
I got stopped the other night by a plainclothes policeman in my van doing 80 through a 50, and he was a big bike fan, so I got away with that one. I get away with an odd one or two.
William, do you ride on the road?
No, not at all. A wee scooter there right now if I play a bit on, but no, too dangerous for me.
You carry on doing what you're doing, boys.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, please say thank you to your heroes and incredible sportsmen, William Dunlop, Michael Dunlop and John McGuinness.
Thank you.